Welcome, everyone. This is Culture Vultures. Welcome, Florence.
Hi, Bettina.
Hello. We thought about topics for this month of January, what we wanted to talk about, and something stood really out because it has been, looked at, listened to in lots of countries, celebrated by being elected the word of the year or the expression of the year. And it is 6-7. But before we go to this specific, can't pronounce it, specific expression, let's talk about where it sits, what it means, where it comes from, what it signifies, right, for youth, because it's part of youth language. And by being part of youth language, it is something that communicates belonging to all the young people using it, by understanding it, by having that shared language, but also it is a way of distinguishing themselves from adults, from other generations, maybe also from people who don't use it. Right?
That's right.
Our topic today is really about youth language and this aspect of belonging that youth language gives to those using it. So what's your take? Where do you see it in your direct environment? What do you think about it?
Well, I remember that you told me about this 6-7, and I didn't even know what you wanted to tell me. So I spoke about that at home, and my child just looked at me and said, "What nonsense language is that?" Yeah. And I have to admit, I had to laugh because, of course, I don't have a teenager at home. And there I saw the difference. The teenagers, I think they find it very cool to say 6-7. And older children, they say nonsense. Yeah. Although they, I think, also had words in their youth they used, and I didn't know what it meant. But for me, it was always good to ask my kid, because as you know, I worked in a school. And then when the kids used words, I could ask at home, what does that mean? And then, I was lectured. And then I could go back to school and say, oh, well, I also know these words. And then they looked at me and said, oh, wow, you are cool. I wasn't, of course not. But, I just learned these words or those words back then.
I actually am not sure whether I completely get the meaning. So I found it funny when you talked about 6-7 that you immediately applied the gesture that comes with it, because I have been told also that you absolutely need to combine it with the hand signs. However, I think it is a way of saying so and being inaccurate in a way, right? Saying something like I am okay-ish. If you're asked how are you, then and you say 6-7, then you're okay-ish, or don't push me for details, I'm not going to give them anyway, would be the implied element of this answer, right? But that belonging element really then emerges through the emotional resonance that youth or people who use that language have when they use it.
Yeah.
Also maybe giving it some kind of playfulness, not being that serious.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it's okay. It's okay for youth to have their language, and it's okay when they kind of try to tell us, well, you don't belong in our group. So you as parents or so, you don't belong into our group.
Yeah.
And I always find it a little bit funny when parents, for example, try to adapt to this language and like learning the vocabulary and then trying to be as cool or as young as the kids. It sounds stupid, I think. Yeah.
Maybe it would be the other way around if children, imagine a 10-year-old using academic language.
Yeah, exactly.
Imitating in a way a language that's not yet theirs. And probably youth language is not ours anymore. Because we are not in this in-group. It's a question of in-group and out-group and who understands it or who doesn't.
Right.
And maybe also marking one's boundaries by explicitly using that language and knowing that people around who are not meant to understand actually will not understand.
And I think for the adults, it's important to accept it. I mean, of course, there are words which are not okay, yeah? So it's not if they are cool or not, but perhaps they are under a level, yeah? And of course, you can tell your child, well, you know, we don't want to use these kinds of words at home or don't use them at school because it's not polite, for example, yeah? Or sophisticated, I guess you can also say. But other words, I think it's good for the adults to accept it and to say, okay, these are your words and you can use them. I remember when I was young, lots of years ago, right?
You're still young at heart, Florence, still young at heart.
So we used the word cool. So when I was at school, and my mom, she hated it, and she said, no, nothing is cool. It's nice, yeah, or it's good, but it's not cool. And I thought, well, why can't you just let me use these words? Because I want to belong to these young people, to my mates, to my classmates. And telling me off and telling me, no, it's not good, I felt awkward a little bit.
Yeah, and I think it is a generational question.
Yeah.
If you have, you know, someone a little bit older in France, they would not like you to use the word super too much. It's not elegant to say, c'est super bon. Someone, you know, with a certain standing, a certain ease in that language and understanding of that language, probably won't use it. But this is exactly that in-group, out-group element, right? It not only describes generational differences, also social ones. And the example that you mentioned with the negative expressions, youth language doesn't have to be negative. There are a lot of positive elements that might be very funny, but not rude, and we still don't understand them.
That's it.
I think the duty of all the generations is just to listen and to let them, right? To let them use the language. It's not up to us. They will. Young people will invent new words, will use new words, will have their meaning of it, the usage in their group. And I think adults, and probably you're more experienced in that field as, you know, in the area that you're working in, we just need to listen, to let them be, to acknowledge that that language exists and also the meaning that it has for them.
That's it. That's right.
So it is cultural, because after all, youth is a small culture with regards to compared to other groups, right? Can be described as a small culture or as a culture of its own. So yeah, another talk, honestly and openly, about what we think youth language can do, how much it gives belonging to young people. I hope everyone found it interesting. Thank you for sharing your view, Florence, as always.
Thank you.
And see you next time.
Yes, thank you for asking, and see you then. Bye.
Very welcome. Bye. Bye.